I want to sink my teeth into the soft flesh of my victims.
Hey guys, it's Galaxy Girl and welcome back to an extra spooky Storytime Sunday. So I wanted to tell you guys a scary story since we are so close to Halloween, but I have honestly never had any true scary paranormal experiences. I do believe in ghosts, I do believe in spirits, but personally I've just never had a very crazy experience, and so I didn't want to come on here and try to hype something up for you guys. So I just went online and found a story that I'm going to be telling you guys today. I will have the original story link down below. All credit goes to the author of the story. This is not my story, and I'm actually not going to be reading it word for word, so some things might not be exactly the same, but all the details of the story were written by this author, and the story is actually based on a real-life murder. In 1973 in Ireland, a young boy named John Hogart went missing, and when police started to investigate, they actually started to suspect the teenage boy living next door. So when his family was questioned and his home was searched, the young boy was actually found mutilated and tied up to the ceiling of the attic. And I don't want to give too much away about the details, but let's just say in this story that I'm about to tell you guys, this young boy is murdered in the exact same way. If you guys want more information on the case, I will link that down below as well, so you guys can go do all your own research, go check it out if you want to, and let's get into the story. The story is called I Want to Be a Vampire, and it follows a young boy named Lorcan. Now, Lorcan was kind of a weird kid. He was very lanky, his head was definitely too big for his body, and his skin was a deathly shade of white. While all the other kids would be playing sports and interacting with their friends, Lorcan would be sitting in the corner and reading his books. Lorcan really loved his books. In fact, they were almost his only friend. Lorcan collected books about satanic rituals, about the devil, about the occult. He would read these books over and over again, feverishly underlining and studying them to make sure that he had all the information that he needed. Now, there were always a lot of very strange rumors about Lorcan. Some children claimed that they'd seen him murder a dog and drink its blood, while others said that he would take neighborhood cats and do horrendous experiments on them. His parents were always very, very worried about him. Lorcan had no friends, and he spent all his time so engrossed in these books. His parents just wanted him to be a regular boy, and they would take him to doctors and psychiatrists, but nothing would ever help. One day, his mom decided to find out what it was that her son was so entangled in, and when she read the books, she was horrified. Immediately, she collected all the books that she could find and threw them out. Now, unlike you would expect, Lorcan reacted to this very strangely. He was fairly eerily calm about the whole thing, despite his huge obsession with these books. Now, when his parents went to bed that night, Lorcan slinked out of bed and went downstairs to collect his precious books. He knew now that he would have to be a lot more careful about them. So the next day, when his parents were out of the house, Lorcan spent all day creating a giant hole in his closet that would lead up to his attic, where he felt like he would be safe and he could store all his books. The attic became Lorcan's safe haven. He even built a makeshift altar up there, covered in strange symbols, upside-down crosses, and horrendous drawings of the devil. One day, Lorcan decided that he would break into a local church to steal a silver chalice for his makeshift altar, as well as some communion wafers. Too bad no one knew exactly what Lorcan was planning. Lorcan started forming some very weird habits. He was always very lethargic and sluggish during the day, but at night he would feel sharp and awake. He would slip out of his bed and walk around his house barefoot, barely making a sound, sometimes creeping into his parents' bedroom and standing over them, watching them sleep. One school day, their teacher announced a new assignment they would be working on, an essay where they would describe what they wanted to be when they would grow up. Now, Lorcan was very excited about this assignment. When it was time to present essays, Lorcan was the first to raise his hand. He was shaking with anticipation. For once in his life, he looked happy. He stood up boldly and confidently. When I grow up, he began,
I want to be a vampire. I want to sleep in a coffin, he continued. I want to surround myself with death. I want to dedicate myself to evil and get revenge on all my enemies. I will surrender my soul to Satan and accept him as my Lord and Savior.
The teacher quickly interrupted Lorcan, yelling for him to stop, but Lorcan knew that he needed to tell. Lorcan simply ignored her. None of the other kids were laughing anymore.
I want to drink the blood of little boys and girls. I want to feel it coursing through my veins. I want to sink my teeth into the soft flesh of my victims and feel their blood trickle down my throat.
The teacher was yelling for Lorcan to sit down, to stop talking, but it was almost as if he was in a trance.
I want to rip them open, pull out their insides, and feast on their entrails. I want to destroy every living thing. I want to burn this world. I want to kill everyone who made fun of me.
At that point, the teacher had had enough, and she lunged at him, snatching the paper out of his hand. He screeched like a wild animal, screaming, "I want to be a vampire, I want to kill you all!" But the teacher wasn't listening anymore. Lorcan was suspended from school, and his parents had to find a new way to deal with him. Everyone watched Lorcan like a hawk. Parents would pull kids to the other side of the street when Lorcan was walking. Everyone avoided him like the plague. Every move he made, people would be talking and people would be scared. Now, after a couple of weeks had passed, things had calmed down a bit. But suddenly, a little boy from the neighborhood went missing. His parents searched everywhere, but it was like he had just vanished into thin air. Quickly, the police were involved, and they went door to door asking questions to see if anyone had seen anything. Now, one of the police officers that was speaking to Lorak had a very, very bad feeling about the teenager. He felt like they needed to investigate further and asked the boy to get his parents. Lorak's parents didn't feel like they had anything to hide, and they quickly let the policeman into the house, which only made Lorak more nervous. This prompted the police officers to then search the house, and at first they didn't find anything. But as one officer opened the closet door, he screeched at the horrifying sight that he saw. He later went on to say that it was the single most disturbing thing that he had ever seen in his life. The young missing boy was hanging from the roof, arms and legs tied to the rafters in the shape of a crucifix, the altar beneath him, the books on devil worship strewn all around the room, and on the altar, the silver chalice filled with blood. The policeman quickly called for backup, but at that point, Lorcan was nowhere to be seen. Nobody could find any trace of the teenage boy, and everyone was shocked and baffled. Now, we will never know for sure, but later on, one of the police officers did go on to say that out of one of the top windows, he saw a slight flash of black that could have been a bat flying into the night sky. Alright guys, that is it for this video. If you enjoyed, please make sure to give me a thumbs up as well as subscribing. It really helps me out. And I would like to say again that all credit for the story does go to the author, and this was a real life event, and the young boy who was murdered in the exact same way as described in this story, which was mostly fiction. But that to me is honestly really terrifying. If you guys would like to see more of these kinds of videos where I do other stories, then please let me know. I had a lot of fun doing this. It was like a dramatic reading and like I loved it. But anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.